I found the wedding binder in my fiancé's car. Cream-colored leather, monogrammed with initials that weren't quite right. E and A. Not E and M. Not Emma and Marcus. Emma and Andrew. Andrew, my ex-girlfriend's brother. The golden boy my mother never stopped comparing me to. When I opened it, I saw seating charts, venue contracts, a cake tasting schedule. My mother's handwriting filled the margins, and in the center, a note in Emma's careful script. "I'm so sorry, Marcus. Your mother is right. He deserves someone who fits." Something inside me didn't shatter. It just went cold. So I disappeared. No explanations, no confrontations, just gone. 7 years later, I returned for my younger brother's wedding in Boston with my wife on my arm, Dr. Sophia Reyes, a renowned cardiac surgeon. When my family saw us walk through those ballroom doors, my mother's champagne glass froze halfway to her lips. And that's when the real story began. I grew up in a house where love was conditional and approval was currency. The Thornton family estate sat on 3 acres in Newton, Massachusetts, all manicured lawns and wrought iron gates. From the outside, it looked like the American dream. Inside, it was a carefully constructed hierarchy where everyone knew their place. My older brother, Andrew, was the crown prince, Harvard legacy, lacrosse captain, the kind of son who made my father's chest puff out at country club dinners. He never had to try. Success just seemed to orbit him naturally. My younger brother, Jamie, was the charming one. He could talk his way out of anything, make everyone laugh, diffuse tension with a single joke. My mother adored his lightness. And then there was me, Marcus, the middle child, the architect in training who preferred blueprints to boardrooms, the son who asked too many questions and didn't smile enough in family photos. Marcus is sensitive, my mother, Victoria, would say, the word dripping with disappointment. He takes things too personally. My father, Richard, would nod absently from behind his newspaper. He'll toughen up. I never did. Not in the way they wanted. I found refuge in buildings, in the way spaces could be designed to make people feel safe, seen, understood. Architecture was honest. A good foundation mattered. Structural integrity couldn't be faked. At home, everything was faked. I met Emma during my final year at MIT. She was getting her MBA at Boston University, sharp-minded and ambitious, with a laugh that felt like summer. She understood drive. She understood wanting to build something meaningful. When I introduced her to my family at Sunday dinner, my mother's eyes lit up in a way I'd rarely seen directed at anything involving me. "An MBA," Victoria said, setting down her wine glass with precision. "How wonderful. Andrew's in finance, you know. You two should talk." Emma smiled politely. "Actually, I'd love to hear more about Marcus's thesis project. He's designing affordable housing that—" "Oh, that," my mother interrupted with a dismissive wave. "Marcus and his little passion projects." Little. That word echoed through every achievement I'd ever had. My father barely looked up from his phone. Andrew launched into a story about his latest deal, and Emma, I noticed, went quiet for the rest of the meal. I should have seen it then, the way my mother studied her, not as my girlfriend, but as a resource, a bright, accomplished woman who was, in my mother's eyes, being wasted on the wrong son. The shift happened slowly, then all at once. Emma started mentioning my mother more. Victoria called just to chat. "Your mom invited me to that charity luncheon. She gave me some career advice." I was relieved at first. My mother had never shown interest in my life. Maybe Emma was the bridge I'd needed. Then came the comments. "Your mother thinks you're not ambitious enough for the firm your father wants you to join. She's worried you're too idealistic, that you'll struggle financially. She mentioned Andrew might be a better mentor for me, for networking. Each observation landed like a carefully placed stone, slowly building a wall between us. I found text on her phone one night while she was in the shower, not because I was snooping. Her screen lit up on the nightstand and my mother's name appeared. Victoria. He's distracted lately. Distant. Are you sure he's committed to this relationship? I think so. But you're right. He's been withdrawn. Withdrawn men make uncertain husbands. You deserve someone fully present. I set the phone down carefully, like it might explode. That night, Emma asked if I was okay. I said yes. She asked if I loved her. I said of course. But something in me had already started pulling away, not from her, but from the trap I could feel closing around us both. The breaking point came on a Wednesday in March. I left work early, planning to surprise Emma with takeout from her favorite Thai place. When I pulled into my parents' driveway, Emma had mentioned stopping by to drop off a book my mother had lent her. I saw her car still parked there. The house was quiet when I walked in. Too quiet. Voices drifted from my father's study. Low, serious, intimate. I stood in the hallway, Thai food growing cold in my hands, and listened. "He's not right for you," my mother said. Not harsh, gentle, persuasive, like she was guiding Emma toward an inevitable truth. "Marcus is a dreamer. He'll struggle. He'll resent you when your career takes off and his stalls." "I love him," Emma said, but her voice wavered. "Love isn't enough," Victoria replied. "Andrew is stable, successful. He's always admired you, Emma, and you'd fit so perfectly into this family if you were with him." My chest tightened. "But Marcus," Emma started. "Marcus will be fine," my mother interrupted. "He's resilient. He'll find someone more suited to his lifestyle, someone less ambitious. You, though, you're meant for more." Silence stretched. Then Emma's voice, small and breaking. "Does Andrew know about this?" "He's willing," my mother said, "if you are." The Thai food container slipped from my fingers. The sound echoed. The study door opened. My mother appeared first, her face a mask of composed surprise. Behind her, Emma, eyes red, guilt written across every feature. "Marcus," my mother said smoothly, "we were just talking about—" "I heard," I said quietly. Emma stepped forward. "Marcus, please let me explain." But I was already backing away. Not running, walking. Slowly, deliberately. I walked out of that house, got in my car, and drove. I don't remember much of the next 48 hours. I know I drove north. I know I ended up at a tiny inn in Vermont, staring at mountains I couldn't really see. Emma called 73 times. My mother called twice. Andrew sent one text. "Dude, this is awkward, but we should talk." I blocked them all. On the third day, my youngest brother Jamie found me. I'd texted him my location. He was the only one I still trusted. He walked into the inn's bar where I was nursing a whiskey and sat down without a word. After a full minute of silence, he finally spoke. "Mom's hosting an engagement party next month?" I looked at him. "For Andrew and Emma." The whiskey burned going down. "I'm not going," I said. "I know," Jamie replied. "I'm not either." That surprised me. Jamie never defied our mother. "She's wrong," he continued quietly. "What she did, what she's been doing to you for years, it's abusive, Marcus. I see it now. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner." Something in my chest cracked open. "I'm leaving Boston," I said. "Good," Jamie said. "Get out. Build your life somewhere she can't touch it." I left everything behind. My apartment lease, my job at the local firm, my graduate program, all of it. I packed one suitcase, withdrew my savings, and bought a one-way ticket to Seattle. Seattle felt like breathing after being underwater. The rain was constant but cleansing. The city was growing, changing, being rebuilt. There was work for architects who wanted to design with purpose. I found a small studio in Capitol Hill. I took a job at a mid-sized firm specializing in sustainable urban housing. I started therapy with Dr. Chen, who didn't accept my practiced "I'm fine." "Your mother orchestrated the end of your engagement," she said during our third session. "That's not normal family conflict. That's sabotage." Hearing someone say it out loud made it real. "Why?" I asked. "Control," Dr. Chen said simply. "And maybe because watching you succeed threatened her narrative about who you are." Slowly, painfully, I rebuilt. I worked on projects that mattered: affordable housing, community centers, shelters. I made friends who knew nothing about the Thornton name. I learned to recognize manipulation when I saw it. And I learned that I was worth choosing. I met Sophia 2 years after I arrived in Seattle. She was consulting on a hospital expansion project my firm had won. Brilliant, direct, with a laugh that made entire rooms stop. She was from a loud, warm Puerto Rican family, the kind where everyone talked over each other because they were so excited to be together. It was the opposite of everything I'd grown up with. "Your family sounds quiet," she observed after I'd finally shared pieces of my past. "Controlled," I corrected. "Do you talk to them?" "Jamie. That's it." She didn't push. She just listened. And slowly, carefully, I let her in. When I proposed, it wasn't at some grand venue. It was in our tiny kitchen, while she was making café con leche and complaining about a difficult surgery. I just looked at her and realized I'd never felt safer. "Marry me," I said. She turned, spatula in hand. "Are you serious right now?" "Completely." She said yes. Then she kissed me. Then she said, "Your family's going to lose their minds." "I don't care," I replied. And I didn't. The invitation arrived 3 years later. Jamie was getting married. The wedding would be in Boston, at the family estate. "Please come," his handwritten note said. "I want you there, and I want to meet Sophia." I almost declined. Boston felt like walking back into a fire I'd barely escaped. But Sophia touched my arm gently. "You don't owe them anything, but if Jamie matters to you, maybe it's worth it." "They'll be awful," I warned. She smiled. "I'm a cardiac surgeon. I've handled worse." We arrived on a Friday evening, the night before the wedding. The Thornton estate looked exactly the same: imposing, immaculate, cold. My mother opened the door. She'd aged, though she'd fight anyone who mentioned it. Her eyes swept over me, then landed on Sophia. "Marcus," she said carefully. "What a surprise." "This is my wife, Dr. Sophia Reyes," I said evenly. The word wife landed like a grenade. My mother's smile tightened. "Wife, how unexpected." Jamie didn't mention. "Because I asked him not to," I said. Behind her, my father appeared, looking older and grayer. Andrew stood in the hallway, uncomfortable. And there, partially hidden behind my brother, was Emma. She looked different, thinner, tired. Her eyes met mine for half a second before she looked away. "Well," my mother said, recovering with practiced grace, "come in. Let's not make a scene in the doorway." Inside, the house felt like a museum. Same furniture, same art, same suffocating sense that every word was being judged. Jamie appeared from the kitchen and broke into a genuine smile. He grabbed me in a hug, then turned to Sophia. "You must be the woman who made my brother finally smile in photos." "I try," Sophia said warmly. Dinner was tense. My mother asked Sophia carefully barbed questions disguised as polite conversation. "A surgeon. How demanding? Do you have time for family?" "I make time for what matters," Sophia replied smoothly. "And you're from where originally?" "Puerto Rico. My whole family's still there." "How exotic." I felt Sophia's hand tighten around her fork, but her smile never wavered. Andrew barely spoke. Emma didn't look up from her plate. It was my father who finally broke the silence. "Marcus, I hear you're doing well in Seattle, working on some important projects." "I am," I said. "Good. That's good." It was the closest thing to approval I'd ever gotten from him. Later that night, after everyone had retreated to their rooms, I found Emma on the back terrace. She was alone, staring at the garden. I almost turned around, but something made me stop. "Marcus?" she said without turning. I walked to the railing, keeping distance between us. "How are you?" she asked quietly. "Good," I said. "Really good." "I saw your wife. She's impressive." "She is." Silence settled. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "For all of it." I didn't respond immediately. Finally, "Are you happy?" Her laugh was bitter. "No." I looked at her, really looked. She seemed hollowed out. "Andrew's not... he's not what I thought he'd be. And your mother... she's everywhere, Marcus. In every decision, every plan, I feel like I'm suffocating." "Then leave," I said simply. "It's not that easy." "It is," I replied. "It's terrifying, but it's simple. You just go." She looked at me with something like desperation. "How did you do it?" The wedding the next day was beautiful in the way expensive things are, polished, perfect, emotionless. Jamie's fiancée, Rachel, was kind and genuine. She kept glancing at Jamie like he was the only person in the room. It reminded me of how Sophia looked at me. During the reception, my mother approached our table. Sophia was getting us drinks, so I was alone. "We need to talk," Victoria said. "No, we don't." "You embarrassed this family by leaving." "I saved myself by leaving." Her jaw tightened. "You always were dramatic." "And you were always manipulative," I said evenly. "You orchestrated the end of my engagement because it gave you control, because you couldn't stand watching me be happy with someone you hadn't chosen. That girl wasn't right for you. That's not your decision to make." "I'm your mother. You're the woman who gave birth to me," I interrupted, "but you stopped being my mother the day you decided your image mattered more than my life." She stepped back like I'd slapped her. Sophia returned with drinks, immediately sensing tension. She handed me a glass and stood beside me, a united front. My mother's eyes flickered between us. "And this is better? Some stranger you barely know?" "She's my wife," I said, "and she sees me, really sees me, not the version you tried to force me to be." Victoria's composure finally cracked. "You're ungrateful. After everything we gave you." "I gave you shame," I said quietly. "You gave me years of feeling like I was never enough. But I'm done carrying that." I stood, taking Sophia's hand. We're leaving. We said goodbye to Jamie and Rachel, who both hugged us tightly. Thank you for coming, Jamie whispered, and thank you for showing me it's possible to get out. As we walked to our car, Andrew appeared from the side entrance. Marcus, wait. I stopped. He looked uncomfortable, hands shoved in his pockets. I'm sorry. For what happened? For going along with it. Are you happy? I asked. He hesitated too long. I'm successful. That's not the same thing. No, he admitted. It's not. Then do something about it, I said, before you wake up and realize you've lived someone else's life. He nodded slowly, then quietly. Your wife seems great. She is. I'm glad you found someone who gets you. It was the most honest conversation we'd ever had. On the flight back to Seattle, Sophia held my hand as I stared out the window. You okay? She asked. Yeah, I said. And I meant it. I don't need their approval anymore. I don't need them to see me. I see myself. She kissed my temple. Good, because you're pretty great. I smiled. Says my wife, the cardiac surgeon. Damn right. Epilogue. 6 months later, I got a call from Emma. She'd left Andrew. She'd moved to Portland and started over. New city, new job, new life. I wanted to say thank you, she said, for showing me it was possible. You did the hard part, I told her. Still, thank you. A year after that, Jamie sent a photo. He and Rachel had had a baby girl. In the background of the picture, barely visible, was my mother, sitting alone in a chair, looking at her phone. Jamie's message was simple. She chose control over connection. That's on her, not us. He was right. I built a life I'm proud of, designing spaces that help people, married to a woman who challenges and cherishes me, connected to the family members who chose to grow. The others? They're still in that big house, performing perfection for people who don't care. I used to think escape was weakness. Now I know it's survival. And sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's building a life so fulfilling that the people who tried to break you become irrelevant. If you've survived family betrayal or rebuilt from nothing, you're not alone. Share your story in the comments and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is choose yourself.